Hello, good night, folks. How are you doing? Welcome to Medical Coding Buddies. This is going to be a live, nice session. Welcome, 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 one and all. If you guys can hear me, okay, I want to do me a favor. Please hit the thumb up button. Let me, hit the like button. Let me see that you hear me okay. Made a comment inside the chat area so I can see that you're hearing me okay. My audio is fine. We have not done a live in a long time, but we are back. We're here. I'm hoping everyone is having an enjoyable Christmas tonight. I have a very special guest with me tonight. Miss Carmen is here with me today, and I'm hoping you guys are here to listen, to learn about how you can better yourself during the interview. And I'm going to bring her on the screen. Hello, Miss Carmen. Welcome.
Hi, thank you.
Awesome. Can you introduce yourself to us and let everyone know who you are and what you're about?
Okay, my name is Carmen Garcia, and I have a bachelor's degree in psychology. I have worked in the human resources field for about 18 years. I have done everything from, regular human resources, employee relations, recruiting, college recruiting, diversity recruiting. I have worked with some top companies on helping them with the diversity and recruiting efforts. Companies like Lockheed Martin, SunTrust, Boeing, Bank of America, Pfizer, pharmaceutical companies. So I have a lot of experience in HR and recruiting.
Awesome, great. And tell me about what you've been doing for the last couple of years.
Well, last couple of years, I'm actually disabled. I'm on disability, and what I have done is, I have multiple sclerosis, so I know that's a code you guys have all seen, right? But what I've been doing in the last few years is I've been personally just working with a lot of people who are wanting to make career changes, or they're preparing for interviews, or need help with their resume. They just are full of questions, and I just voluntarily have been doing this on a small scale. And now I've decided to just start doing this on a larger scale, because I know a lot of people don't know who to go to and who to ask about anything related to HR or how to prepare for an interview. I know most people have never received interview feedback. Everybody gets a letter telling them that someone else was selected for the job, and it kind of leaves everybody at awe as to what happened. So I want to close that gap and help everybody with that. I want to help them interview for success.
Awesome. So let's get into it. We have about an hour, right? So let's go ahead and get started and start talking about the different aspects of the job setting and the interviews and how to handle yourself. So where do you want to begin tonight?
I sent you a position description. A few of them, is about 3. And I want to talk to you about the job postings, what you see on the postings, and I want to break it down for you to help you understand what the manager is really looking for.
Okay.
Because some of the verbiage in those job descriptions, some of the things that they want, but they're not telling you on the job posting, I want you to understand what those are. I want you to be able to update your resume to reflect some of those changes. I don't want you to fluff up your resumes. I don't want you to make a lot of mistakes, because people really do pay attention to mistakes on the resume. If you are going into a position like medical coding and you have to be very detail oriented and you forget periods and you forget capitalizations or you misspelled a word, those things are immediate flags, and they will immediately just say, no, thank you, not interested. But at least I want to help you with looking at just job descriptions, help you understand.
Okay, great. All right. So let's get into another one. Let's see. This is the one that you want to start, right?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Let me see. I have to figure out how I can open. Okay, there we go. I can open my screen better. And people, I'm sorry, I have to put on my glasses.
Okay, great.
Okay. I looked at a position description for a medical coder. Actually, I want to ask a quick question. Do most people have a pen and paper around or available? Because I'm going to really need some people to jot down some notes.
Awesome. So everyone, grab your pens, your papers, write some notes, as Ms. Carmen said, and just take some notes about how you can, so you can know how to better handle yourself during these interview processes. And while you're doing that, go ahead, Ms. Carmen.
Okay. Well, we're looking at one job posting I saw. I just picked this up yesterday. Position one, it just starts with strong communication and interpersonal skills. What I want to mention with this first part of it is they're going to be looking for people who know how to communicate well with internal clients, external clients, customers, if possibly. They're looking for someone who, when they're communicating, they are communicating effectively and therefore representing the company in a positive manner. If you are not able to complete sentences in a proper manner, that's not going to be a good representation of the company. Your ability to respond well under pressure is extremely important. Sometimes you're going to talk to someone or medical provider who says, no, I didn't provide that information. And you have to, and they'll say it's your fault. You have to be able to remember to keep your cool, communicate effectively, even under pressure. So communication skills are extremely important. It's not just that you know how to speak a full sentence. The way you communicate with people, the way you deal with difficult situations is really important. Okay. Computer literacy, very important. There are some people who are going to have a difficult time dealing with multiple screens, for example. And in these positions, you may have to look at multiple screens in different systems at the same time. So being comfortable in front of a computer is extremely important. So make sure that on your resume, for example, that you mention ability to work with multiple screens or multiple systems. Make sure you include that in the resume so they already know that you do this or have done this. With regards to, again, the pleasant voice, it's going back to speaking properly with internal and external clients. With regards to experience, it says make sure you include software you have used and learned. I know that there's a lot of software that you use in medical coding, like the ICD-10, the PCS, I believe, and they don't need to know that you could type several words per minute. But make sure that every single software system that you've used related to coding while you were studying, make sure that you include those things on your resume in that same section where you would have Microsoft Word, etc. Make sure you include how many words per minute you type, and also make sure that you include your alphanumeric or just straight numeric data entry skills. They need to know this because they will be able to understand how well you might type, how quickly, because it's going to help you complete tasks faster. Okay. There's a section that says you must be able to operate and stay organized when using multiple computer screens. Again, you have to be able to multitask. They don't want people who are going to get squirmish in front of multiple screens and they say it's too much information, and then they want to run out the door. They have to feel comfortable that you're able to do that. Trust me, I've had to let go of people who were in those type of positions and they just could not handle it. Therefore, their performance was impacted and they were inputting a lot of wrong codes. For a hospital, you guys are already familiar, coding is extremely important, so it has to be accurate. There's a section down there that says, most important, you must be adaptable. Thank you, Kevin, to sustain changes that will occur due to the changes in the medical regulations and process. Flexibility is important, okay? Flexibility. Managers love people who are flexible because they're going to be easier to work with. If, as you're talking in your interview, I don't want you to talk about your home life. Don't ever talk about your home life in an interview. But they do need to know that somebody's flexible. Also, don't ever talk about whether or not you have a car. They're legally not even able to ask you that question. They can ask you if you have a means of transportation, but they are not able to ask you if you have a car. Okay? If you have young children at home and all that stuff, don't mention an interview ever. Okay? In there, we look at experience with working denials and appeals in a timely manner. When you're looking at that, I highlighted, do you know how to prioritize? Because experience working with denials and appeals and setting priorities and looking at shifting needs on a day-to-day basis or even an hour-to-hour basis Do you have the ability to prioritize on your own? Do you have to be told what to do? Again, do you fizz out under pressure? Are you organized? When you see things like that in a job posting, some of the things that they're going to want to know and need to know about you is how do you prioritize, how you keep yourself organized, and how you deal with pressure. So on your resume or in your job interview, you want to make sure that you communicate that with them. In the section that says coding and reviewing codes prior to submitting claims, they want people who are very detail oriented. You guys know much more than I do the importance of entering information correctly into systems. Number one, you're entering information in accurately, but also it's going to be easy for you to pick up mistakes when you see them when looking at records, especially when they need somebody who can audit. Okay, so if you can't be detailed, are you going to be able to do audits and other things of that nature, which they're going to require? Okay. Again, the ICD 10 knowledge, is it on your resume? As well as other systems that you use. Make sure you put them all on there. You guys know there are many different software that's being used for medical coding, and I know the health industry is changing, trying to become more efficient. Make sure that you have the names of those systems on your resume. When companies look through resumes, they look for specific words on your resume. If those things are not included, they won't even look at your resume because the system will automatically take them out of the available pool of people that they want to talk to. Okay. We're looking at medical knowledge to be able to engage in communication with providers and extract information from records. Okay. Demonstrating your knowledge, what you know has to be on your resume. I can't stress this enough. You have to be able to identify errors. So on your resume, when you're talking about some of your experience, talk about experience being able to do that. And when you talk on your resume, I need you guys to quantify on your resume. Meaning, if let's say you say you process 300 medical coding documents a day, or you've audited more than 1,000 documents due to coding error, to identify coding errors, etc. You need to quantify how many you've done so they know how well you do this job and how frequent you've done it. Because if you don't have any experience, or if you've only done 1 and 2, it's going to make a difference versus someone who has done a high volume. Okay, so you want to make sure that you put that information on your resume because it is something that they are looking for. It's important to them. Managers, when they're looking at resumes, they immediately start thinking about whether or not this person is the person that they want to hire, someone who's going to require a lot of maintenance, or can they come in, be provided a handbook about what and how using their individual systems and have the individual take it and run with it, or are they going to need a lot of hand holding? Managers tend to be very busy, and sometimes they don't have the time to sit one-on-one with new hires. So quantifying on your resume takes any doubt out of their minds as to whether or not you have the experience and the volume to deal with what they have to deal with at their current location. Okay. When we're looking at position 2, they talk about, I highlighted in yellow, comfortable taking criticism. Okay. This is really important. Again, it has everything to do with the maintenance of the employee. Okay. On a job description, on a job posting, they cannot fire you because you can't take constructive criticism. Okay. They're not going to, they can't do that. But they are looking for someone who has the ability to take information and use it as a point of a goal. I'm going to go ahead and improve doing this or that. Not someone who's going to turn around and talk about the manager and say, oh, this person's so terrible because they told me I have to do X, Y, and Z. It just makes it easier to work with and manage that employee. Confidentiality is very important. I highlighted that on this number 1 position for medical coding. You guys have been trained on this and you understand why this is so important. So on your resumes, again, if there's an opportunity for you to enter in there that you are highly ethical and very confidential, make sure you put that in there. If it's not on your resume, if you have an opportunity to interview, make sure that you are talking about being ethical, flexible, and being confidential. Okay. Kevin, have you received any questions from your audience?
No, no, I have not yet.
Okay.
And I'm being told there's a delay between us talking and then, so there might be a significant delay before they can, be able to opine on something. So
Okay.
probably something new Facebook is trying. I'm not sure, but I know they have done that in the past where they,
Mhm.
they do that. So it is what it is. We're just gonna have to roll with it.
Okay.
So if you have a question, folks, and you just hear in the comments way down the line, it's okay to still submit your questions and we will answer them. Okay, so go ahead and submit your questions as they come up. So submit your questions, and for those who have, send me your resumes. Please, if you like to be a part of this live so we can go over your resumes with you, please indicate so. So in the message area, so I can be able to, or text me on my phone, and I will be able to do that with you, to bring you on screen so we can go over that together.
Or
Okay.
if there's someone who wants to try to do a quick 3-4 minute mock interview quickly, absolutely.
Okay,
We
and if you would,
can.
as she says, if you want to do a mock interview with her, so you can know how you would pan out during a live interview, a real interview, then please feel free to let me know too, so we can bring you on the screen. Um, and I see Tasha says yes, she would like to go over um, my resume. Okay, Tasha, do me a favor. Send me an IM on Messenger. You know my name. Send me an IM on Messenger so I can send you the link so I can bring you on the screen, so we can go over that. Okay. Um, so Tasha, send me an IM on Messenger, so I can go ahead and bring you on screen so we can go over that. So make sure you're in good setting, good background, and all that good stuff when we're doing this. So I don't want to embarrass anybody tonight. So make sure you have good setting, all that good stuff. All right. There's a question. What do you recommend for someone who's new to coding? For someone who's new to coding, I'm not sure where that's an open-ended question. So I'm not sure where we're going with that one. So I guess I need some more information as to what you're asking so we can
It's
be.
okay. It's okay. I already know. I already know where the question is going.
Okay, go ahead.
So when you're just entering the world of coding and you're looking at job postings that say you have to have experience, maybe 1 to 5 years or something like that. Number one, only search for entry level coding positions. Okay. Because they know it's entry level, they're not going to expect you to have 5 years of experience. So those positions you have to look away from until you have experience. Only look for when you're doing your searches on Indeed or Monster. Only look for entry level positions because you're entry level. They are not expecting you to have years of experience doing audits and researching claims and things of that nature. They know that you have just learned about this. But what you do want to highlight in your resume and on in your face-to-face interview is all of the things that you have learned and how good you are at it. So if you scored highly on tests, um, make sure you highlight that on your resume or in your face-to-face interview because they're not going to be interviewing you based on your years of experience. They are 100% going to be interested in you because of your soft skills, which is again attention to detail, being a team player, being flexible, do you communicate well. That's what's going to weigh heavy on those for those people interviewing you because they already know on your resume that you maybe just have received your certificate. Okay, they probably are going to also want to know about why you decided to do medical coding. Expect that question in an interview. So you need to be able to know what you want to say to them as to why you chose that career field and why you plan to be on it for a significant amount of time. Because managers don't want to hire someone who is just trying something out and then they're going to be gone in 6 months. Any other questions, Kevin?
I'm sorry. Go ahead and continue talking so I can get Joyce on the screen so we can go over her resume in a minute.
Okay. No, I was and I just quickly asked if there were any other questions, or the person who asked that question about being new to coding, if they have any additional questions.
Oh yeah, I don't see any additional questions. And remember, we probably have a delay, so I'm not sure when she's going to. Hopefully, she will opine at some point in time. He or she
Okay.
will opine at some point in time. But yeah. So hopefully, we answer your question, Facebook user. I don't see a name to that question. So here's another question. As an interviewer, do you tend to go with someone younger or older?
Good question. All right. I'm going to tell you the legal from a legal perspective. I cannot choose a different candidate because they're older or younger. Okay. What I will tell you, though, knowing working in HR for so long, sometimes a manager may not want, let's say, a younger person because they're going to feel like that person might be immature, or they may not want to go with an older person because they just can't work as quickly. Either way, it happens. So one of the things I want to mention, since you asked that question about being younger, on your resumes, never enter the year that you graduated, especially if it was 20 years ago. Take it out. If it's something you just finished, like getting your certificate in coding, go ahead and put the year there. But anything else, take the dates out of it, because they will try to calculate, is this person older or younger? And you don't want them to make a decision based on that. What you want them to make a decision on is having met you face to face, seeing that you're vibrant, you're a team player, you're energetic, you're ethical. You want to get in and help that company thrive and do the best you can with that company.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that, Ms. Carmen. Okay, so while we're working on getting the other user on screen, is there any more questions from the audience? Okay. All right. So we went over a couple of the job descriptions, and we talk about, the different do's and don'ts of what we should be doing. What do you say to somebody who's been in the field for a long time, like myself? I've been in the field now 20 plus years. And one of the aspects of the things that I usually run into is that because of my seniority in the field, it's hard to get somebody to really look my way, because they think that, hey, this guy's going to demand more money. He's going to, because of his experience, his track record. So how do you get those individuals to open up to you, to be more receptive of a person who's in a seniority position that's been in the field for a long time?
Right. So I guess the first question would be, what type of positions are you applying for?
Right. Senior roles, obviously. Senior roles would be my ideal spot, right?
Right. So when you're applying for the senior roles, are you in line or with the years of experience that they look for? Because they're not going to look down on your having 20 years of experience if they're looking for that. Now, what you do want to stress is on your resumes, it's okay for you to talk about your soft skills. So being flexible and things of that nature, you want to include those things in your resume. Include those words. Just if you have an about me section, you could do that. But a lot of times the biggest thing has to do with salary, right? How much money is he going to ask? What I would tell you to do, number one, is never give them a fixed number as to how much money you want to make. Give them a range. Okay. But before you even do that, make sure that before you go to the interview that you've already looked at, for example, salary.com and searched what the average pay is in your area for that position. And so that you know that you're within it. Because one thing I can tell you is that when they offer you the position, they can never offer you less than what the minimum wage is. But they all have a minimum, medium, and high.
Okay.
They tend to want to hire people between the minimum and medium. Okay. If the person is a superstar, they may go between medium and high. Right. But the reason why they don't tend to go high is because when it's time for you to do reviews, they can't give you too many raises. because then you're going to surpass the maximum wage for that position. Okay, so that's why they tend to go between minimum and medium. But if they ever ask you, don't ever give them a specific number. Tell them that you're wanting to be compensated based on your years of experience. And sometimes you can mention to them, I noticed for your company, you tend to pay within this range and this range for a similar position, or just tell them the information you've gathered from the internet as to how much similar companies offer their employees with that many years of experience. Okay. But don't lock yourself into a specific dollar amount. That's the whole point.
Okay. Awesome. All right. Thank you. Let's go ahead and answer another question that just popped up. Do you recommend taking notes in an interview?
Absolutely. 100%. Every single time. Some people get nervous during an interview, and what I tell them to do is take a notepad and paper. Keeping your hands busy while you are interviewing helps you calm down. It also allows you to, number one, make the impression on the person you're interviewing with that this position really interests you and you want to capture and remember everything that they're talking about. It also gives you an opportunity to just make notes so that if you have to have a second interview with someone else, you can ask questions based on the notes that you've taken. And also, in your list of notes, you would have already listed your interview questions that you plan to ask them. So always take notes during the interview. Great question.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Any more questions? This person says, there's a person that says, I'm available to go over my resume. I'm not sure who you are, but if you have my name and you know everybody knows my name on Facebook is Kevin Vaciana. Let me go ahead and put that in the comment section. Please go ahead and send me a message on Facebook, and I'll be able to send you an invite really fast to get you onto the platform. I need to get your email and all that stuff offline so I can get you onto the platform. So let's see what else. So whoever said that, and let's see what else do we need to go over in the meantime.
Well, something that's very important when you're preparing for interviews. You need to do research on the company. I can't stress that enough. You must do research on the company. You want to know, where is this a organization? Is the company? Is it not for share? Where are the corporate offices? You want to also know how well the company is doing financially. How is it doing in the marketplace? For two reasons. One, you want to know whether or not this is a stable company and that you can work there and have longevity. You don't want a company that tends to fire a lot of people every 2 or 3 years, or you have a company where a lot of people leave because they're just not happy. So make sure you research the company. With researching the company, you're going to have an idea as to what questions you might be able to ask them that are specific. You also want to interview their competitors. Very important. And the reason is because they need to know that you have a good understanding of who they are, what they do, and who their competitors are. It leaves a great impression on them because you've been thorough. Being thorough is something that is very important in the type of position that you're interviewing for, especially in medical coding. You have to be able to look through stuff, and sometimes you have to move barriers out the way, and you need to keep on researching. So your ability to have a good understanding as to the company, who the company is, what they do, how they've been performing in the market share, and their competitors is extremely important. You must know what their mission and their value statements are, because you can ask questions to the interviewer that are about their mission and their value statement, because their mission is tied to specific goals that the company has. And when you're interviewing, you want to know what their goals are. What are their goals that they plan to achieve in the next 12 months? Because business executives and down have to plan those out. So you want to have a good idea as to what those things are for that organization. And understanding information about competitors also helps you, because sometimes it'll make you think about that other company as well, as to maybe whether or not you want to apply for jobs there if you don't land the job at the current company that you're with.
Awesome. Thank you, Miss. All right. I see we have first up, Miss Mary is with us, so I'm going to bring her on screen. So one second, let me remove this. Hi, Miss Mary. How are you doing?
Hi.
Hi,
How are
good,
you?
Good,
good.
good, good. Awesome, awesome. Thank you for joining us tonight. So do you have any questions for Miss Carmen before we start going over your resume?
Um, yeah. So can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead. There's a delay,
Okay.
but go ahead.
So what do you do when you keep applying to hospitals but you never get an interview?
Callbacks?
Yeah, I never. It's always, thank you for applying. Thank you for applying. And I keep interviewing it. I keep sending my resume to one hospital that I did work at for a short time.
Mhm.
But after like, I don't know, 3 months or something, I resigned from the position because it just wasn't something that I wanted to do.
Mhm.
Um,
Okay. So one of the things that you would want to know, and you can call the Human Resources Department directly, and you need to ask them if you are eligible for rehire. Okay, because
yeah, that was
sometimes
over a
companies,
year ago. So
okay, a company sometimes have policies that say a person who left has to be gone from the company a certain period before they can come back. Okay, but
mhm.
also you want to make sure that you are eligible for rehire with that company. Right? So call the Human Resources Department, make sure you're eligible for rehire, and also ask them how much time has to pass before you're able to reapply to work with the company. The third thing would be have somebody look at your resume to make sure your resume is selling you, and that there isn't something off or something that's really needs to be added to it to make it desirable to any company. Oh, is this your resume here that we're looking at?
Yes, it is. That's her resume.
Okay.
I
Okay.
remove her head, Mary. I remove your header,
Yeah.
your name, your
Okay.
address, to protect your your location, your telephone number, and all those details. But I believe this is your
Yeah,
resume.
that's fine.
Yeah.
Do you
Okay,
have a pen and
that's
paper
it.
with you?
I do.
Do you have a Do you have a pen and paper with you?
Yes,
Yes.
yes, I
Okay.
do.
Um.
She says she does.
Right. Okay. Right off the bat, I will let you know that you need to quantify on your resume, which is add numbers behind it. So, for example, let me see. What did I just look at? For example, just a simple example: answer telephone calls and routine inquiries. About how many do you do that? About how many a day? So a keyword to always use on your resume is approximately. Don't ever give them a fixed number, but you can say approximately 500, I don't know, 300, 100 calls a day. Okay, quantify as much as possible. I'm just looking through your resume quickly. All right. In your experience area,
Okay.
in in your work experience area, um, you want to use action words before every statement. If it's coordinated, created, achieved, implemented, increased, you want to use words like that as the first word in your statement, because they need to know that you're not just someone who sits back and just does data entry, right? Because especially now, companies are looking for people who can do more than one job at the same time because they've had to do layoffs and stuff like that, and sometimes they're told you can't have the same amount of headcount. But you do want to quantify. Now, I see that you were with your last company from April to June. And then
Right.
the one prior to that, it was July to October. One of the things companies are always going to look for is longevity. How long do you stay with the company? If they think that you just skip around, they're not going to want to hire you. But what I tell to individuals is sometimes You're not with the company anymore because you've been downsized. They did reorganization within the company, things like that. So what you can do in the area of your dates of employment, you could put behind it, for example, downsized or reorganization, so that they know that you're just not jumping around on your own because you try a job and you don't like it and you just move to the next. They don't, because they don't like to see that. They like to know that people are going to be there and they're going to be there for a long time. So, also in your schooling information, like at SUNY, remove all of those years. Remove the years of when you finished. You want to make sure you take that out because unfortunately, sometimes people want to discriminate based on what they think your age is going to be.
Well, you can kind of tell my age because the one is from like 19.
Yeah, I know, but I always tell people, right, unless it's something you recently got that you need for the job you're applying for, take off all the other years. The other thing that I would mention to you, since you tend to do a lot of the same skill set using the same jobs throughout all of your years of employment and even through your internship, you're going to want to change your resume to a different style of resume that has, your name, your header, your objective. You're going to have your core qualifications like you have there. You're going to want to, instead of putting your experience, you want to put a section that says like applicable knowledge, for example. And what you're going to do is, because a lot of people who've done the job over and over many years, what they do is they try to figure out a way to say the same sentence in a different way. What you're going to want to do is you want to group those sections together. Okay, so you're not being redundant and you're not trying to make it sound a little bit different. So areas of expertise or areas of experience, put those things down. In the section below it, then you will have experience. And in that section, all you're going to do is put the company, city, state, position title, and dates. So it should be one line right across. So all of your employers should just be one line right across at the bottom, because the bulk, the meat and potatoes of your resume is going to be what you've actually done. And that's what you want them to look at. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That makes sense. Also, some of those things that I was talking about before, about those systems that you use for coding, you want to make sure you include that on your resume.
Okay.
Okay, well, so like when you talk about technical skills.
Okay, so I'm fairly new. I have my RHIT and going for my CPC. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I haven't got a coding job yet. So I'm looking for my first coding job.
Right.
And everybody says network. Well, I'm the president of the chapter in my area, and I still can't find a job.
Right. So again, those technical skills that you've learned, that you're learning, you need to put that on your resume. Because if they don't know that you know how to use certain systems, they're not going to look at your resume. So make sure you include on your resume a section that has technical skills, and you include on there all of those systems and software that you have worked on or are learning about, so that they know you have those minimum requirements.
Okay, because I've worked on many systems, different hospitals, different things. So that's on my resume. So, and now I just have a new one that I can upgrade. And I've been on interviews too before, and I practice a lot of before I go, like how to answer certain questions, make sure that I have, behavioral questions, what my answers would be. And I have no problem in an interview talking, or when they ask a certain question, answering it. So you get frustrated.
Yes, very. Absolutely. I know, because you never get any feedback. I know. I understand.
Right. And if you're doing all the right things and you walk out and you never get a reply or you know,
Mhm.
you just get a thanks for coming in, where do you go from there?
You call people like me, okay? You call people with me. My business is mock interviews with Carmen. And what I do there is I help people practice their interviewing skills, and I give them specific feedback, because sometimes what happens is, it's happened to me a lot. I'll present a couple of people to a manager. They will interview them and they have a hard time picking which one they want to select. And what they end up deciding is who answered the questions the best. So sometimes you're going in and answering all the questions, but somebody answered questions better. Sometimes people go into the interview and their persona doesn't describe their excitement about the job or the company or the ability to interview. Some people are too passive sometimes. So in these sessions that I have with people, I give them specific feedback. And I'll tell people from the very beginning, I'm not here to be your friend. I'm here to give you specific feedback to help you succeed, because you've never had it before. And sometimes people just don't know the mistakes that they make. So what you do in situations like this is you call someone who has experience with interviewing, and Kevin can give you my information, and you can send me a message tonight, and I can talk to you as soon as tomorrow if you really wanted to, especially if you have something coming up, because I want to help you get hired, and I understand that it's difficult right now for a lot of people, and I'm so sorry that you're in that situation.
Yeah, well, I'm also a medical assistant too. So right now I'm in one of the area hospitals working as a medical assistant. So
Right.
I'm keeping my skills up and learning more,
Good.
you know.
Good.
So,
That's excellent. Don't ever stop doing that.
oh, I
Um,
never.
I always do that. Don't ever stop. But reach out to Kevin. He'll give you information about me, and we can talk in more detail. And we could practice some of those things. So we could try to help you. I can try to help you interview for success, because you have a lot of experience. You're driven. You're not okay with just staying in your current position, which is why you're trying to learn more. And that's very attractive to employers. So I want to help you put that together in a nice little packet, so you know how to sell yourself the best in your interview. Okay?
All right, thank you so much. Yes,
You're
definitely.
very welcome.
Thank you, Mary. Hopefully she helped you out. And we'll talk again. See you on Monday night, study session. Have a Merry Christmas.
Absolutely.
See you and your family.
You too.
Um,
All right. Bye-bye.
so, Kevin, I know we're short on time. I want to quickly give people some
I have
tips.
one more of the guests here too with me as well. She's
Okay.
been waiting in the studio, so let's go ahead and bring her out.
May I have a little bit of water real quick?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Hi.
Hi.
Um,
Okay.
all right, let me bring this up. Go ahead now, Miss Tasha. Do
Yes.
you have any questions for Miss Carmen while I'm bringing up your resume?
Not at the moment.
Okay.
Okay, awesome,
So, do you
awesome.
have experience in the field already?
No, I just graduated from a medical coding course and just passed my CPC. So, uh,
Congrats.
trying to get my first job.
Good. Congrats. Congrats. What area do you live in?
I live in Tallahassee, Florida.
Okay.
Awesome, awesome. So, you never worked in the medical field before? Is that what you're saying?
I was a vet tech for 18 years, so sort of. And then I've been a toxicologist for the last couple of years.
Okay. So, what made you move?
I just don't want to work in the lab anymore. And I've always had an interest in medical coding since back in my 20s.
Mhm.
So I thought I would try to get back into it and get out of the lab.
And have you've completed your internship?
No, I have not.
Okay. All right. Let me quickly look at your resume. Do you have a pen or paper with you, Tasha?
Yes, I do.
Okay. First thing you want to do, you're going to want to move your education to the bottom part of your resume.
Okay.
Okay. Um, Okay.
I mean, if you want me to scroll down, Miss Carmen.
Would you please? I'm trying not to completely put my face in front of the TV screen.
No problem. Let me see. Let me see if there's a way to maximize this. Hold on. Let me see. I'm gonna.
Okay, yeah, it did. I need to just scroll down to the experience section, please.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. Okay. In your current position with the crime lab, you want to use present tense for everything. So performing, operating, testifying, you want to use present tense in everything. For example, you say perform testing on specimens. About approximately how many are you doing?
Okay, I can
Okay.
add that.
So you
Yeah,
want
I
to
do
say
hundreds.
yeah. So you want to put on there approximately, testing approximately this number. When you say extensive training, what do you consider to be extensive training? Is it years of training? And if so, how much?
Okay.
So, like going back to the tense, when you're talking about operation and troubleshooting of equipment. Okay. So you are doing the stuff to comply with established specification. Your position as a scribe, that's present, right? That's from April.
Yes. Yes.
So when I talk about quantifying on your resume, it's about putting numbers attached to everything that you talk about, because it gives them an idea of how much are you talking about. So when you say remote financial transcription, okay, about how many are you talking about? Because okay, do you do 1 or 2 a month, or how often do you do those?
Okay.
You say you require, let me scribe, requires time management skills. So you say it requires time management, etc. But what do you do? Right? Because that could be just a statement from the requirement of a job, right? It doesn't
Right.
tell them how much you do. You know what I mean? Something that
Okay.
people do sometimes is they put general responses, but they don't talk about themselves. And you don't ever want your resume to sound like a job description.
Okay.
Okay. So when you say accomplished, accomplishing, when you say, okay, I do this and I measured myself at this, this is how I perform. That's what they want to know. Again, as a forensic technologist, perform drug screenings. Okay, about how many?
Okay.
Again, opening an inventory, especially, for example, you open an inventory of evidence kits. That means you're doing a lot of auditing, right?
Yes.
About how many? Because especially in this the coding area, they're going to want people to do coding, and in what you do, you're extremely detailed, and you want to make sure that they know how accurate you are, how well you are at auditing, and having a special attention to detail. So that's why when you're talking about some of these things, you mentioned some of these things on your resume, you want to quantify. So I know everything that you do is measured, right? So if you analyze and assess, right, and you tend to have a 100% proficiency, you know what I mean? That kind of stuff you want to put on your resume,
Okay.
because that sells you. Because the big thing is your resume can't look like the next person's.
Right.
Right? How is yours different? So you want to modify your resume to highlight everything that you've been doing, and how is it different than the other person? Because if I'm looking at 2 resumes, one looks at yours and another one has a lot of numbers that tells me, wow, whoa, they did that much. I'm going to talk to the person that has a lot of information on the resume that tells me about the volume.
Okay. One of the concerns I had was going to a second page, because everyone says, "Oh, it should only be 1 page."
Well,
So
we'll talk about that in a second. Again,
okay.
if you're doing the same thing over and over and over again with different employers, then you want to have just one section that summarizes all of your related experience. Okay, so if it's related experience and all of these things that you have on here that you tend to do repeatedly throughout the years, you put them in one section. And when you're making, for example, a statement about conducted approximately, I don't know, 300, I don't know, whatever it is a month, you want to specify what company that's with. Okay, so if you said testify in court when needed with, and you say the company. Okay, but all of these descriptions are going to be in one section so that you're not repeating yourself. And then underneath that, you're going to have a section that has experience. And that's where you're going to indicate in one line the company, city, and state, your years of experience, and your position title.
Okay.
Okay. And that way, what they're really going to be looking at about you, they want to know what you've done. So that experience that you have section is going to be the thing that sells you.
Okay.
And then you can also shorten your resume, but you have a lot of experience in the field, right? So you can't keep your resume to one page. That sometimes could be difficult. But if you find when you're looking at everything, some of the statements are redundant, when you just put an experience, related experience tab, that's going to take out that repeated statement.
Okay.
So is this the bottom of your resume here that we're looking at? Okay, here it is. Okay, got it. Can we go up a little bit? Okay. Okay, when it relates to your years of experience, you always want to put the latest in the bottom. So for example, I see, let me see, oh, I can't, actually, no, you did veterinary clinic from 2013, and then you went to March. Actually, no, it's fine. But again, when you look at those statements, use action words at the beginning of all your statements. Use action words at the beginning. Created, modified, improved, assessed, those type of words, action words are really good in resumes. And again, quantify. Let them know about how much, how many, how efficient.
Okay.
Did you have any other resumes about your resume? Questions about your resume?
No, I don't think so. I think that took care of it.
Okay, awesome. I'm glad I could help a little bit.
Yes, thank you.
You're very welcome. Have you already begun interviewing?
No, not yet. I just started applying this week.
Okay, good. If you haven't interviewed in a while, make sure you sharpen up your interview skills. Record yourself interviewing. I know people just Google search and they look at different interview questions. Record yourself interviewing so you can see what you look like.
Okay.
Okay. And make sure that you're just providing them full answers is the big thing.
Okay.
All right.
All right, Tasha, welcome to the field. It's going to be fun. I've been in this 20 plus years. You're going to enjoy it, young lady. Just
Thank
make
you.
sure you do what Ms. Carmen says. This is a great treat. You guys are getting a great treat tonight. So Ms.
Yes.
Carmen is going to be doing by way of announcement, and I'm jumping ahead maybe, Ms. Carmen, but Ms. Carmen is going to be doing some mock interviews with you guys. For those who would like to take advantage of her until the 31st of this month, everyone can go on our platform and register for $10 for 1 hour session to do a mock interview with her. And so you can participate in that, okay? So go ahead and reach out to Ms. Carmen. I will put her website address up. Ms. Carmen, give it to me again so we can I can put it here on the screen.
It's www.mockinterviews with the S Carmen.com. And again, it's just 1 hour, $10 only through the end of the year to do a mock interview session with me. So
okay, great. So so reach out to Ms. Carmen so she can take care of you guys. I mean, this is a great treat. So until the 31st of this month, you will be able to tap into that. Ms. Carmen, I know we kind of over time. I mean, is it okay?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
I know that we're going to talk do some mock interviews with some people, but I want to quickly jump in and just give everybody some important tips about interviewing. And some of them make sense, and some of them you're like, do I really need that? So I just want to share some of those. First thing I'm going to tell you is make sure you clean up all of your social media. Clean up your social media. When a company is interviewing, they will pull up your social media on Facebook, Instagram, all of it. And if they see information there that's questionable, or they see that in your postings all you do is curse or you badmouth people, I promise you that they're going to pass on you before they even bring you in for an interview. So make sure you clean up your social media. Make sure that you have changed your voicemail on your phone so it's a professional one that leaves your name and your phone number. Please don't play music. Please don't play tricks on your voicemail pretending that you answered the phone. Just make sure you clean it up and it's nice and professional. The other thing I want you to remember to do is always arrive 15 minutes early. That's the latest you should ever be, 15 minutes early to a face-to-face interview. If it's an interview online, stay online, ready to log in once. Just register, get in, and just sit there waiting until the interviewer starts the interview process. Make sure you take extra notes. Make sure that you have your interview questions prepared before your interview. Record yourself interviewing, behavioral questions, answering those questions of why should I hire you? Why are you the best candidate for this job? Tell me about it. Tell me about yourself. Tell me about your weaknesses. Practice those things on your cell phone or wherever you need to, so you can watch yourself actually interview. Because how they see you is going to be different than what you might imagine sometimes. So again, just practice that. Make sure that if you're going to a face-to-face interview, this might be funny, but I've seen it happen and it's not a good result. Please don't go into the parking lot with the music blazing in your car. Your interview starts the moment that you drive onto that parking lot. So make sure your music is not loud. Park wherever you need to park. Make sure you pay attention to the receptionist. Be very nice to her, because sometimes the managers or people in HR will ask, hey, how was that person when they came in? And they will give them their feedback. So please don't be rude to the receptionist. Make sure you're smiling at people who are passing by, and especially nice to that receptionist. If you're driving to the interview, please do a test drive to the location around the time of your interview if you've never been there before, because you don't want to get lost on the way to your first interview. And also make sure, it might seem silly, but make sure your car is gassed up, so you don't run out of gas on your way to an interview. Listen, I've worked in HR for many years. I've heard it all. But make sure you just do those things. Take an extra resume with you if you are coming in for a face-to-face interview, because sometimes the manager forgets to print one and they just don't have anything in front of them. So just take an extra resume just in case. Don't forget to take a notebook and pen that writes. Take down notes, and make sure you have your questions that you're going to ask written down, and write the answers to your questions as they answer. Be authentic. Be authentic. People who have been interviewing have a lot of experience interviewing, and when you sound like organic, things that you've read and it sounds nice to say, people can see right through that. So make sure that you are being authentic, talking about yourself. Make sure that you're not being cocky. You can show that you're confident and excited, but please do not make it seem as if you're cocky, because managers don't tend to like that. For women and men, please do not wear any cologne or perfume to the interview. You don't know who has allergies. You don't know who doesn't like the smell of your perfume or your cologne. So leave that at home. Please don't put any on. And women, put your purses in the trunk of your car. It's easier for you to just walk in with your notepad in hand and you walk in to the interview than having to fumble with your purses. So leave those purses in your trunk, and again, leave perfume and cologne on the table in your room and use it at another time. Kevin, do you have any other questions, or anybody who's ready to possibly do a mock interview?
I don't have anybody that's prepared to do a mock interview, but if there's anybody out there that wants to do a mock interview, please feel free to let me know right now. Make a note in the chat so I can see. I think we did have some questions that I sent to you, that the typical questions that they're asking. Let me see if we can pull them up so we can go over some of the questions really fast. Let's see.
I wrote some of them down, but I know some of them are pretty typical.
Yes. Some of them are very, very typical. Let me see one of the ones that usually typically ask is, why should I hire you? Let's start there. Why should I hire you? How would you respond to somebody with that, with that question?
Well, I think the first thing starts with, you have to ask yourself why you want that position. I will tell you that the wrong answer to say is because I need more money. Please don't ever tell them that, because they know anybody who's just chasing money will leave that job to go find another only because they're looking for money. Okay. What you do want to talk about in the why, what about me? Tell them why you like the industry of medical coding, what you want to do long term in the industry of medical coding. Again, what prompted you? What were your thoughts when you studied? What were your thoughts and experience once you started working in the industry? And how that excites you, and that you want to use your knowledge and experience that you've learned with your previous employers and apply it to help the person that you're interviewing with achieve success. Okay. Never talk about money. Never talk about your children ever. Even if, let's say, you've been a stay-at-home mom and you're re-entering the workforce, don't talk about the fact that you've been at home with your kids and you want to re-enter the workforce. Okay. That would be a wrong answer to give. Talk about your strengths and what you want to do with those strengths to benefit the department with which you're trying to interview for. I know another question is why should I hire you? Again, very similar. You want to talk about your strengths. You want to talk about teamwork, flexibility, being detailed, being a team player. All of those things are so important. And you want to give them examples also. It's not just talking about it. Give them an example of something that you've done that has shown your teamwork or your flexibility in your past. You have to show it. And you have to paint them a picture. You're talking from your perspective because you've lived it. These individuals don't know where you've ever worked, who you work with. So you kind of have to paint them a picture. Let them know what the sky and the grass and the walls look like, for lack of a better term, so they understand why what you did was so important.
Okay. I think another one is highlight your strengths and weaknesses.
Okay. Let's start with the weaknesses, okay? Okay.
That one always gets me, because it's like, oh my God, now I'm going to paint a bad picture about myself to somebody that potentially is going to hire me. It's like, how do I react to that?
Okay. First of all, never talk about anything you have not fixed. Okay? Don't talk about anything you have not fixed. If they say, talk to me about your weaknesses, you want to talk to them about something that you self-identified. For example, I realized that I wanted to increase my my use of using Excel. I didn't think it was strong enough. Okay, that could be a weakness. So what did you do? You took a course online.
Mm-hmm.
So now you are an expert in using Microsoft Excel, right? So you want to talk about it from a point of, I realized this for self-improvement, what you did about it, and where you are now. Okay, don't talk, and please don't ever mention that you were late. I used to work at a job and I used to be late all the time, and so I started leaving 15 minutes early. Please don't do that.
That's not good.
I've heard it.
You've heard it. Oh wow.
Yeah, please don't do that. So for weaknesses, always talk about something that you've already overcome. And if your manager asks you, or the interviewer asks a question like, do you think that you've overcome all your weaknesses? Your answer should always be no. That you always welcome constructive criticism, and that if anybody provides it to you, that you'll do what it takes to correct it, because you want to be someone who's reliable with the company. If you want to become a subject matter expert within the medical coding arena, then tell them I'm doing everything I can to be that subject matter expert. I want to be a lead. I want to be someone that employees can go to for help and advice if they need it.
Okay. All right.
Mhm.
I think another one would be, tell me about a time you had a conflict on the job and how did you resolve it?
Okay. First of all, again, first of all, don't talk bad about anybody. Ever. Ever. Don't talk bad about anyone. Okay. Talk about, and these are questions that you want to think about in advance. Write them down, but at least refresh your memory about it, so that you can remember and give them more than one example as to what would be appropriate. So let's say a situation was that you were having a problem with a coworker, right? Um, let's say the problem was that they just didn't like you, right? You could tell them, I sat down and I spoke with them to ask them. I invited them to lunch one day, and I just wanted to talk to them to understand where it is that we have some discord. And we talked about how we could work together in the same environment and be happy, because nobody likes a tense work environment. And you could talk about the fact that you identify what those things are and you came to an agreement and passed it on. But it's a great thing to show that you took initiative on your own, to solve a problem, instead of always having to go to HR or your manager. Okay, but sometimes people have problems with their managers as well, and you can say things like, I was having a problem with my manager, and I reached out to my mentor at work, or I reached out to another manager at work. And I asked them, explained to them what the problem was, to get some additional insight as to how I should address it, so we can turn things around, because you don't like having difficulties at work. And after you've done that, then you talk about the action steps that you took and what the result was. But it's always an attractive thing for managers to see that you take self-initiative, that you've been thoughtful, that you analyze yourself to realize if you're part of the problem. And you also decide whether or not it's something that you can control. Okay. Everybody knows that there are some managers that, as much as you can't stand them, you can't fire them. And sometimes it feels like you'll never be in their good graces. Again, if it's not resolved, don't mention it. So it's important that you think about those questions in advance.
And I think me and you was having a conversation last week when we were setting this up. And I always tell the coders, I mean, in the past when I was doing my live sessions, and for those who are new to this platform, welcome. But there's, I always try to tell coders, listen, we seem like a large community, but we're not. So don't think that today you are gonna do a bad up job of talking bad to your manager, your supervisors, and then tomorrow is not going to be payback day, because it will be payback day.
Mm-hmm.
Because hypothetically speaking, if you move on from that employer and you're now applying to another position, and hypothetically speaking, now the supervisor that you were under is now sitting at that position that you're trying to get into, but you don't know that.
Yep.
You never know who's the supervisor at that new position that you're trying to get to. So now you're here trying to figure out, why is that door not opening for you?
Yeah.
Well, guess what? You sell yourself short of that job. So now that employee is looking down at you and they're not opening that door. So always stay humble wherever you are before you try to, exercise your right to venture out.
Right.
Go ahead, Carmen.
And it's important, because you guys are going to have the opportunity to touch so many people. It could be external clients and internal. I've seen it happen where someone is deciding to leave a company, their current company, and they will call a client that they used to work with to say, you know what, I'm thinking about leaving this job. Do you guys have any openings there? And because you've always been so pleasant and so thorough, they're going to say, you know what, I will let you know. I will talk to my manager. I'll put in a good word for you. It's very important. Your reputation always is going to follow you unless you move out of state, out of the area. Your reputation is going to follow you, especially if you are in a department or a group that's a small knit. I used to work for, I worked for several different companies, but sometimes what I would ask employees, when I looked at their resume and I could see that they worked at several different companies, I would go to the employees and ask them, hey, do you remember this person? And then, oh yes, or oh no. And some of them will tell you, nope, that person was always gone. They were never on time. They were always calling out. Thank you. I appreciate it. And I wouldn't even call the person for an interview. I wouldn't do it because they have firsthand experience as to how this person works. And again, you guys are in an industry that is not, it's not like you're going from medical coding to engineering. You have a lot of people who do medical coding, and your reputation always follows you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It may look large when you're on Facebook and you're on social media and you're talking to folks and you see the thousands and thousands of coders. But remember, thousands of coders are also looking for a job and can't get in the door. So always remember that. It is not a really big community as you think it is. It is very close knit. Everybody knows everybody for the most part. They know your name. Especially my name. I have a very unique name, so I always have to make sure I'm behaving everywhere I go. So yeah. But anyways, one of the other things that comes up is the situational questions that somebody asks is, what would you do if? And those kind of situations, how do you handle that? How would you suggest they handle that?
Okay. So first of all, I want to tell you that they're asking you that question because there's really another question behind it. Okay. They want to know how well you deal with conflict. They want to know how well you think when it comes to thinking on your feet with information that sometimes comes at you out of left field and looks like it has nothing to do with the price of tea in China. They want to know how you think. They want to know how you respond. They want to know how effective you can be at navigating through different situations and still achieving a good result. That's the whole reason why they ask situational and behavioral questions. They want to know what you've done in the past because it's going to help them understand what you're going to do in the future should they hire you. So you always want to talk about things that have a positive outcome. A positive outcome. What you specifically did to have a positive outcome. Please do not talk about your team. Please don't talk about we, they, us. Talk about me, because they're not trying to hire your team. They're trying to hire you, but they want to know how you think, how you manage through different situations with different groups of people, regardless of, again, internal, external clients, maybe external clients that they made a mistake and they want to blame you, but you really didn't do it. But they need to know how you navigate through relationships, how you communicate, how you think on your feet.
Awesome. Thank you for that response. Let's see. Scrolling down here. What about conflicts? How you handle them? I think we went through that already. Yeah. Let's see. Where do you see yourself in so many years? Did we answer that? Go ahead.
Yeah. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Okay, come on, people. Nobody knows where they're going to be in 5 years. Okay, nobody. What does the manager really want to know? Again, there's a question behind the actual question that they present. But what they really want to know is, are you someone who thinks ahead? Do you plan well? Do you think of your life in, 3 months, 6 months to a year, 1 year to 5 years, 3 years to 5 years? Do you have a plan for yourself? That's what they really want to know, because your personality is what's going to be seen while you're working. Your personality is going to affect how you work. So are you the type of individual who just wings it? Well, 2021 is coming. We'll see what happens. No, they want individuals who say, this is what I plan to do in 2021 for myself. These are the goals that I have for myself. This is how I plan to achieve them. It's all about planning. You're planning yourself out, your personal life, your professional life as well. So sometimes people feel like, okay, I need to answer a question specifically about this question. So some people feel like I need to give a good answer, like, well, I would like to stay with this company until I retire. Okay, we've heard that answer a lot before. But saying things such as, I want to be your go-to person in this department within 3 to 5 years. I want to be the person who can cover you when you go on vacation. because I'm so knowledgeable. I want to be someone that you would recommend to other departments because I'm so efficient at what I do, and I'm a team player, and I bend over backwards for my managers to achieve results. Type of answers like that is perfectly fine. But the question really is, are you a planner? What do you try to achieve for yourself personally, professionally, etc.? Or do you just wing it, you know, from day to day? They don't like people who just wing it.
Another follow-up to that would be, are you only going to stay here until you find something better?
Okay. They're not going to ask that question unless you've told them that you want that position for money. Okay. A lot of times they stay away from that question. They will only ask that question as a follow-up because of something you said before. But you really have to think for yourself and think of whether or not you would actually leave because someone's going to offer you more money in 6 months. Going back to what we're just discussing, remember, it's a small industry. It really is. You jump from job to job, it's not going to look good on your resume. You jump from job to job, people within each company, they're going to know who you are. So you don't want to develop a reputation for yourself of just skipping around chasing money. So whenever you're interviewing for a company, make sure that that company has everything that you need. Good benefits, good pay, good reputation in the industry. You want to make sure that that company works for you too, not only just for them. It has to be a relationship. Interviews to me are like dating. It's a first date. You want to decide if we're going to have a second date or not, right? And that's why we want to sit there and talk. But think about that question for yourself first before you're answering that question in an interview, because you really need to assess yourself to find out what you were chasing. What are you looking for?
Another follow-up to that would be, I need to say this to my coders. Before you take that interview, or even when you hype, right? You get that phone call and they say, I want to interview you, right? And you say, okay, great. Now it's not a good time, but can I set a date, a future date? 2 days down the road, 3 days down the road. Why are you doing that? To me, I mean, and tell me, Ms. Carmen, if I'm wrong. But what I do is I want to research that company. I want to find out, is this company legitimate? How long they've been in this in the industry? Their turnover ratio, how many, based on what's on LinkedIn and how many times have they been putting out these same jobs requests looking for employees. I want to see, because the turnover ratio would give me an idea of, okay, well, maybe the moral standards in this job is not right. Maybe the supervisor is not right. Maybe the manager is not right. Something in that atmosphere is not right, making people leave that atmosphere and want to go elsewhere. Am I wrong?
Absolutely. So part of the thing that I was talking about researching companies, you need to understand what type of business it is. Like, for example, we have Charles Schwab down here. And every 3 years, they do massive layoffs. Not because all of a sudden the market turned, but they, for some reasons, just have, they have massive layoffs. So anybody going to work there needs to understand that, because you could lose your job in 5 years. But yes, you have to pay attention to whether or not these positions are constantly becoming open. Why is that happening? Is it because they're expanding? Is it because the culture is not good? Is it because people are leaving for money? Is it the managers that they work under? You want to kind of find that stuff out. So using LinkedIn as a resource to reach out to people is great. Using Indeed, which will give you reviews from former employees or current employees about who and what that company is. But you want to make sure the company is stable. You want to make sure that that company is a company that you will feel proud to say, yeah, I work for this company. It's just part of that research of a company. Remember, again, it's like interviewing to see if you want a second date. Does this company have everything that you want and that you're looking for? Are you going to be happy working there for a long time? You need to do your research before you're in that face-to-face interview. And sometimes you need to ask specific questions. So sometimes a question that you may ask an interviewer is, why is this position open? You can ask an interview questions like, what's the proudest thing? What's the thing that makes you the proudest about your current team that you supervise? What are the strengths of your team? It's going to give you an idea as to, number one, how well you can identify if the manager is really appreciating that team. It will also tell you, give you an idea as to why it's open. Is it because somebody promoted from within? Is it because somebody retired? Or is it because someone left involuntarily or voluntarily? Because you need to understand the department. You can't go into a job, take a job with the company and be miserable every day, where you hate getting up to go to work because you hate the culture or you hate the people you work with. That's a miserable position to be in. You want to be happy when you go to work, and asking questions during your interview is where you can get some answers.
Okay, I have a question from a viewer. Asked, what are some good questions to ask the interviewer?
Okay. Whew, where do we start? Okay, so when you're doing research on companies, okay, things that you want to look for this is information that tends to be on their websites. They have questions about their financials, okay, and you can see whether or not they've been meeting their financial goals or not. Look at the mission and value statements, right? They're going to tell you the mission is, we're out here to do this and this and this for the community. Okay, so what are the company? A question you can ask: what are some of the goals that the company has for this year, and how does my position in the company, should I get it? How does that influence the goals of what the company has for this fiscal year? You can ask questions such as, what makes you the proudest about working for this company? What do you like the most? A question can also be, I've told people to ask this question before, and it was, tell me about the best employee in your department. Why are they so great? What are you most proud of in this department? What are your goals for this department? What do you specifically plan to do to increase performance or productivity within this department? Another question you can ask is, what goals and tasks would you have for me within my first 30, 60, and 90 days if I'm selected for this position? These type of questions show your forward thinking and your analytical ability within a company. So those are some of the types of questions that you can ask a potential employer when you're there for an interview setting. Did that help answer your question, Kevin?
I think that should end. I have one more question. Do you feel that reviews on Indeed are good to look at?
I think it's a starting point. I would not use just one system to look at. Indeed, you have Glassdoor, you have LinkedIn, you have Google, you have Yahoo. Look at those. Look at multiple locations for feedback, because you might have somebody have one bad review on one website and then glaring reviews in another. So make sure that you have a good mix of sources where you're getting information from.
Awesome. Ms. Carmen, I think we're coming to an end on this. Let me ask you, is there anything else you want to tell the coders? I think we're going to bring you back at some point in time.
Okay, that's no problem.
Yeah, because this is right before Christmas, and I'm not sure if everybody may be out shopping and and all that good stuff. So at some point, probably in the early part of next year, we'll bring you back so we can do a round two. But in the meantime, folks, what I want you to do is go to her website. I'm going to put it on the screen again. Make sure you schedule your mock interviews with Miss Carmen. She have a special going for $10. $10 that will get you in before the 31st, so you can have a one-on-one with her. Please go ahead and do that right now. But next year, at some point in time, we will schedule another one with Miss Carmen. So when Christmas rush is over and everybody's home, and you may have may need a second round of this, so we can be able to dissect and go into more. And individuals who actually want to be in an interview session one-on-one with her will be able to get that. Anything else you want to say?
No, I hope everybody has a great Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. I speak Spanish. For those of you who may be bilingual, that's not a problem for me. Yo hablo español. I know I don't look it, but I am Hispanic.
Okay, awesome.
But I wish everybody Merry Christmas and Happy Holiday.
And I do the same. Merry Christmas on behalf of Medical Coding Buddies team, the admin staff here, Celeste, all the folks. We want to wish you a happy and enjoy your, Merry Christmas and enjoy your holidays. Please spend time with your family. During this pandemic, we know it's rough, but it is what it is. We're going to have to just all stick together. Let me see if there's any more comments here before we signed off. Yeah, just thank you and have a happy holidays. We're getting those comments. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching. And again, this is it. Thank you. This was our first one. I hope you appreciate this. I know there's going to be a lot of people rewatching this because we have a lot of folks on the West Coast, on the central part of the states. We have almost 5,000 people in this group. So we know this is going to be replayed over and over again between now and tomorrow or the weekend. So please feel free. I'm going over my words here. To reach out to Miss Carmen. This is our website. Go to that website, log on, schedule interview, and get in touch with her. All her information is there. Her contact details is there. You will be able to reach her that way. All right.
My email is on my website, so you can send me an email if you have any quick questions. Again, the mock interview session is going to be very specific to you. To talk about, we're going to practice these mock interviews. I know some of you have never received this in your past, and you wonder why is this happening. We'll go ahead and answer that for you. Okay. Bye.
Bye. Have a good night, folks. Merry Christmas, everyone. Bye.
Bye.